Good afternoon, everybody. My name is John Mulhern. I'm the principal in the Teagasc College of Amenity Horticulture, and we're located here in the beautiful setting that is the National Botanic Gardens. We're delighted you joined us for our program. This event is designed to give you information about what we do here in our college as regards our horticulture courses. The format for this afternoon is that it's on Zoom. We thank you for joining us on Zoom. You may notice that you've got a prompt for this session to be recorded, and we'll use this for future promotional issues. We'd also ask you to turn off your camera and to mute your microphone. So thank you for joining us. We're here in what we call Room 3 in our still new building, I would say. This building was constructed about 8 years ago, and it still feels very new to us. It's situated bang smack in the Botanic Gardens, and it's overlooking the Tolka River and the Rose Garden. The National Botanic Gardens is the jewel in North Dublin, we would say. It's a repository for horticulture. It's set up over 200 years, and what goes on here in terms of training is immense. Apprentices have been trained here since 1812, and Teagasc is proud to carry on that tradition. So this afternoon, we want to impress upon you some of the work that we do that's connected with this fantastic site here in Glasnevin in the National Botanic Gardens. When you think about horticulture, you know, horticulture is everywhere. What you eat, what you sit on, the buildings that we live in. Horticulture has contributed in no small way towards everything that surrounds us. There's an increasing passion for the outdoor space currently, and we're delighted that we can fulfill some small role in providing good education and formal training in that respect. We're lucky to be in the National Botanic Gardens. It's the premier spot for horticulture in Ireland, and Teagasc is here for many, many decades providing that training. We do this in conjunction with the OPW. The OPW, the Office of Public Works, is responsible for running the National Botanic Gardens. So Teagasc works hand in hand with the National Botanic Gardens in providing that training. We also work with our colleagues in Teagasc in Ashetown. Ashetown is a premier site. It's a food research facility, and it's located about 6 kilometers from here. There, we have access to about just short of 20 acres where we can work, we can landscape, and we can train our students in the areas of horticulture also. So between the National Botanic Gardens here in Glasnevin, which constitutes approximately 60 acres, and between Ashetown, we've quite a big repository of area, outdoor space. In horticulture. That course runs typically from September through to June. We cover about 8 or 9 different modules, and it's all about plant knowledge, plant identification, plant protection, plant propagation, and a certain amount of plant use. And we would say in our level 5 construct that the student is getting a very good basic knowledge, foundation knowledge on plant specimens. What happens in level 6 when students move on to second year is that people move into different areas. And our 4 main areas that people move into in terms of horticulture is landscaping, nursery stock, fruit and veg, food production, and turf grass. And that's what we're going to hear deliberations from with my colleagues now in a few minutes. Also, in conjunction with our third level partner, which is Waterford Institute of Technology, and we're happy to partner with WIT with a degree program, which is run at level 7. And level 7 brings together the science of horticulture, the production of horticulture, and the business of horticulture. So we see students that graduate through the levels up to degree level, coming out of our college with the National Botanic Gardens and the OPW with a very rounded qualification in plant knowledge, scientific knowledge, and business knowledge of horticulture. And that's the package that we talk about. And we're going to give you some sense of how that works today by showing you a few short videos and by having a Q&A session with my colleagues here. Okay, at this point, I'd like to introduce my colleagues. And my first colleague is Louise Jones. And Louise has been with us teaching for a few years. So I might just ask Louise to introduce what you do and what areas that you follow here in the college.
Yeah, thanks, John. So I'm Louise Jones. I'm one of the lecturers here with Teagasc in the National Botanic Gardens. I teach an array of subjects in horticulture on our level 5, level 6 and level 7 course.
Yep.
My area of specialty is in landscape design and construction, as well as other areas such as plant materials and plant identification.
Yeah, so a lot of your work is in plant knowledge, and then using that plant knowledge to teach students around the area of landscaping, construction, garden design, drawing, and then ultimately constructing gardens. And that's very popular.
Very, very popular. Every year we have a large group of students take part in that, the modules that we teach in that area.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Louise. My next colleague that I want to ask about their background is Chris Havey. And Chris, your area is, among others, nursery stock production.
Yes, nursery stock production. And at level 5, plant propagation, which I suppose is the precursor to nursery stock production, and fruit and veg production at level 5 as well. And then at level 7, part of the garden management, I teach part of fruit and veg and garden management. So they would be the subjects that I'd be involved in.
Yeah, a lot of people are pursuing nursery stock production that will find careers in the nursery stock sector. Plantsmanship is very important.
Yeah, what happens at level 6 is we get more detailed in terms of, or specialize more so in terms of that nursery sort of area. So while plant propagation at level 5 is a great way of learning a general sort of plant propagation module, you can then specialize into the nursery industry, I suppose, and what a career could mean in the nursery industry, where you might be able to go within that at level 6.
Perfect. We might come back to that because I'm sure there'll be questions on specifics shortly. I'll turn to my next colleague, which is James Brady. And James, among other things, you're involved in the food sector, the fruit and veg sector. Could you tell us a small bit about what you're involved in the college, James?
Yes, so I teach the level 5 fruit and veg production and also the level 6 market gardening module. So basically it focuses on food production, soil management, crop management, and integrated pest management and sustainability.
It's become very popular. The whole food side, like horticulture is made up both of the amenity side and the commercial side. And we often refer to the commercial side, but it's food production, essentially.
Essentially, that is, John. And I suppose it's never been more important that people have kind of focusing on where their food comes from.
People want to grow their own.
Exactly, yeah. And you can see that from the numbers on our course and the popularity that they are.
It's become very popular, and we'll come back to that point. So fruit and veg is a very strong area now in the college, and we've seen that trend developing over the last couple of years, Thanks very much, James. My next colleague is Paddy Smith, and Paddy, among other things, teaches on sports turf science and maintenance. Maybe tell us a small bit about that area, Paddy.
Yeah, thank you, John. My name is Paddy. I'm teaching mostly in relation to mechanization, looking at it from a landscape point of view, a food point of view, and especially in turf grass. And I'm delivering turf grass to our level 5, mostly to our level 6 students and students coming in from the industry, and to our level 7 students as well.
Very good. Paddy, again, it's a very important area in terms of sports turf. A lot of people employed in that in the sector in Ireland, and we'll come back maybe and ask a few questions from the chat about how to get into that industry specifically. Thank you for that, colleagues. At this point, we will like to show you a short video clip, and this video clip is about 8 or 9 minutes long, and it basically showcases our college and the different enterprise mix that's in it. It features the 4 speakers, and it's each speaker has about 2 minutes on their different areas. So we'd ask you to sit back and enjoy this. And remember, we're looking for questions, so don't be afraid to send them through on the chat function. Thank you very much.
Hi everybody, I'm Louise Jones and I'm one of the lecturers here based in the National Botanic Gardens for Teagasc in the College of Amenity Horticulture. One of the areas I specialise in is landscape design, construction and maintenance. And as part of our programmes offered here within the college, we offer many different courses from level 5 up to level 7, and within that there's many modules that cover the aspects of landscape design, construction and maintenance. At level 5 we offer a module called garden design, where we teach students the skill of drafting, so hand drawing beautiful designs using graphics for fictional clients, but still based on a very important client brief. And these drawings are produced where the students at the end of the module have a beautiful portfolio that they can use in the future. Moving on then, we look at landscape construction and maintenance at level 5, which is a hands-on module where students get to undertake practicals looking at different skills from setting out, paving, timber features, water features and so on. So using the materials as our ingredients within the landscape. Moving on then, one of the areas that you can specialise in at level 6 is landscape design and construction. Here we have more studio-based drawing projects where we use a variety of different types of sites, private gardens, urban spaces, and even sometimes just concentrating on planting design. And this is mixed and backed up with practical skills in relation to construction. Moving on then, in level 7, we concentrate in the landscape design module with WIT. Here we specialise and look more at the theory background of design and the history of landscape design. So looking back for lots of inspiration, and we concentrate on more public and semi-public spaces. All of these modules in landscape design and construction link with the ongoing landscape maintenance and work that happens in our Ashetown campus. And here over the years the students have helped us develop the grounds through model gardens that they build from scratch every year, planting schemes that we're adding to all of the time, and ongoing maintenance techniques. So here in the Botanics we have lots to offer in the landscape design and construction maintenance. The current year has been slightly different and we're offering it through a blended approach this year. So what I mean by blended is the theory of our courses are being offered online. At home you can log in on your computer and we offer the lectures online, live. We will give all supporting notes and resources through a platform called Moodle. Our practical elements then are offered face-to-face in Ashetown, but in small groups this year, so we can have social distancing and still cover our practicals and get our hands dirty. The studio part is slightly different. We are working the studio as a virtual studio where you will watch demonstration videos recorded by myself and my other colleagues at home in your own time, and then we will have tutorials together online where we will go through different drawing techniques. So here in the college and with Teagasc we have lots to offer in the area of landscape design and construction, and if you have any questions, get in touch.
Hello, Christopher Heavey. I'm a lecturer in the Botanic Gardens in Glasnevin in the College of Amenity Horticulture, and I suppose my remit encompasses nursery stocks, plant propagation and all that entails, all of the various parts of that. So we're going to have a look at some of the facilities that we have and that we use on a daily basis for teaching. And the first one we're going to look at is right here, and it's the tree nursery in Ashetown. And the tree nursery in Ashetown is something that's developing over the past 2 years or so. And as you can see, we have some reasonably mature trees, and we plan on using this as part of our blended learning scheme to be able to transplant trees, to be able to prune trees, to be able to stake trees, tie trees and so on. So all of that is part of what we do every day, and it's also, because of the situation that we're in now, part of a blended learning scheme where you will be here for some of the practical elements of it and for some of the assessments, but the learning aspect of it in terms of the theory will all be produced online and produced very well and very professionally online. So we might move on in now to the glasshouse and have a look at plant propagation. This just before we go, is part of the nursery stock production at level 6 in the main, but it's also used for many, many other subject matters as well. So here we are in the glasshouse, as promised, and this is the glasshouse in Ashetown. We have a couple of other glasshouses in the Botanic Gardens that we also use for plant propagation. And this is basically where our plant propagation is done, and it's where our nursery education is undertaken, really, the practical end of our nursery education. So we're looking at plants that we take cuttings from, lots and lots of salvias here, beautiful, beautiful colours, and we're going to take a quick look over at the mist unit. And in the mist unit, we have some cuttings off this Romnea, which is a beautiful plant named after two Irishmen. So we'll have a quick look at that and see the facility that's there, and that should give us a good picture of what happens from a nursery's perspective in terms of education here. This is the mist unit, and this is where we propagate a number of our cuttings. So this is one of two we have. This is in Ashetown. We have another one in the Botanic Gardens. And we also employ other systems as well for producing cuttings. So you'll see those systems in operation, depending on what course you're doing. And I showed you this plant, Romnea coulteri, earlier on there. So cuttings were taken off this plant and they were placed in here. And there they are in the system, sitting in a tray, waiting at the moment to root, and hopefully they'll be successful. And these are the sorts of things that you learn when you are doing any of the courses related to nursery stocks or to plant propagation. So without showing you all of the rest, the grafting, the division, the layering, all of these things that we do, I hope we've given you a reasonable picture. And remember that the lecturing part, the theory part is online, and the practical parts, and some of the practical parts and some of the assessments are done in situ here in a safe environment.
Hi, my name is James Brady and I'm a lecturer here in the Teagasc College of Amenity Horticulture, National Botanic Gardens. One of the streams we offer here in the college is food production, and as part of this stream we run QQI Level 5 fruit and veg production, Level 6 market gardening, and also our degree programme Level 7 sustainable food production. The courses are structured through a blended learning model where we offer our lectures online, and these are recorded and made available through our Moodle platform where students can basically learn at their leisure. The practical elements of the course is run in Teagasc Ashetown, where we have an extensive fruit and vegetable garden, which consists of a mixed orchard, some fruit plantations, and also some vegetable beds, where students get to apply the skills they learn in the classroom to this practical skills in Ashetown, where they demonstrate best practice in relation to sustainability, crop husbandry, plant management, and integrated pest management.
My name is Paddy Smith. I'm a college teacher in the National Botanic Gardens. I'm involved in the delivery of a range of sports turf subjects across different programs aimed at both full-time and part-time students. In 2017, this new golf facility was constructed here in Ashetown, consisting of 3 holes. Each green and tee box are built on a sand compost root zone with modern drainage and an automatic irrigation system to replicate what is present on modern sports turf facilities here in Ireland. In the building of the Turf Academy, grasses were selected to give the students as much exposure as possible to sustainable approaches to turfgrass management. The Turfgrass Academy is used as an essential part in the training and extension programme across all courses that we teach at the college at certificate and degree level. Throughout the year, students have the opportunity to learn all of the skills that are associated with modern sports turf care. This includes the setup, operation and care of a wide range of precision mowers. Root zone management is an integral part of sustainable turf care. In all our courses, students will be exposed to all modern methods of cultural operations, including top dressing, aeration, decompaction, nutrition and overseeding. Students from our turfgrass programs go to work in different sports turf locations at home and abroad. Many of our students go to work in the US, UK and continental Europe, mainly in golf course facilities. In Ireland there are many opportunities and openings in the management of golf courses, sports pitches, multi-sports facilities and across the sports turf service sector.
Okay, we hope you enjoyed that short video clip. That short video clip included my 4 colleagues who joined us this afternoon. So what you've seen is a summary of the areas of work around landscaping, the areas of work around nursery stock production, around our fruit and veg garden, and around sports turf. because people always ask, you know, at our events, what is horticulture? So what we've just shown you is horticulture. And that's how it manifests itself in day-to-day practical working. So you saw some lovely images there of the design. You saw some lovely images of the growth of plants, the growth of trees in the tree nursery, and as Chris espoused, in the outside environment of the tree nursery in Ashetown, and inside in the new glass houses over there. You saw James Brady involved with students who are working hard in the background in the fruit and veg garden. And you saw Paddy Smith and some of his colleagues working on the newly formed sports turf area that we operate over in our facility in Ashetown. So that gives you some semblance of what we do and what my colleagues are involved in on a day-to-day basis. I just might turn to Louise and maybe drill down a small bit into the area. Earlier you mentioned, Louise, that you were involved in teaching landscaping across level 5 and level 6 and level 7. So just in terms of, we'll say, garden design. Garden design is a popular module. It's a module that people take on board maybe as a single module, or they develop careers in. Could you maybe tell us a small bit about what's involved in that area?
Yeah, so at level 5, the module is called Garden Design, John. It can be part of the full certificate in horticulture, or you can opt to do it as a single module. So really it's an introduction to garden design where we're teaching students the drafting skills, so the drawing skills, how to draw a master plan, survey a site, and select plant materials. But it really is an introduction level. You will get a portfolio at the end.
And do people need drawing skills to come onto that program? Is there a need for any technical drawing skills?
No, honestly, all of the drafting, we work with you. We teach you how to do the technical drawing side. You have to have a love for plants.
Yep.
Okay. Have an eye for observation in relation to landscape design and what materials and construction plant materials that are out there. But really, we use different tools to actually do the drawing.
Yeah, and in your own career, Louise, because this is an area that you followed yourself, and you were very much interested in plants as a young person, and then you brought that through. Maybe tell us a bit how you furnished your own qualification with your love of plants and drawing.
Yeah, so I suppose I was influenced by horticulture from a young age. I grew up in North County Dublin, so surrounded by lots of some of the best horticultural growers that we have, and was always very aware of that, where food came from. If you were looking for me as a child, I was outside picking plants or looking at the rocks. I love nature, love the environment. Yeah. So when I finished school, John, when I was doing my leaving cert, I hooked up with a career guidance teacher. Yeah. She introduced me to Teagasc. And from that led me on. I did a diploma in horticulture first.
So you met a good career guidance teacher.
I did. She was very good.
That's a message to send out to our young people today.
Thank you to her. So that led me on to do a diploma in horticulture.
Very good.
Which really was sort of an introduction to all of horticulture.
Yeah.
It was at that stage where I realized that I really was passionate about the landscape design and landscape architecture. And I went on and I did a level 8 in landscape horticulture.
You did? You did placement here as well, didn't you?
I did some placement here in the Botanic Gardens, as well as with some...
no doubt that was a big help.
Big help. I loved plants. Yeah. Love plants, love people. Yeah. And then I suppose I went down the route of education because I love lifelong learning. Yeah. I did a master's in education, and I'm teaching here in Teagasc a good while.
Very good.
Lots of different areas.
We won't ask you how many years. This year is so different, Louise, in that we're situated here in our beautiful room, which overlooks the Tolka and the Rose Garden in the National Botanic Gardens. But briefly, how is your teaching different this year, and how are you managing?
Yeah, so obviously we were maybe forced to change slightly, which has worked quite well for us. The point of view is that we had no choice, so we are working blended learning this year.
Blended is the big thing, yeah.
What we're doing is all of our lectures or theory I'm offering online through Zoom. Yeah. So the students can log on for a live lecture.
Yeah, similar to this.
Yeah, similar to what we're doing here. The great thing now, though, is that all of our lectures and so on, we're recording them. Yeah. So we have these recordings and lots of resources available online. So students can log in at any time in the evenings, John, and learn at their own pace. The great thing at the moment, because horticulture is so outdoors, we're still able to have our practicals in small pods. Okay, really, really important that we still are getting to meet each other every second week. Yeah. We're going on plant walks, doing our construction skills. Yeah. Studio, though, is a virtual.
Yeah.
studio, and we're doing that through training videos and then meeting live online.
Yeah, no, that's well said. I mean, a lot of our students would on average, I suppose, come in here 1.5, 2 days a week, maybe to do some practical outdoor, socially distanced practicals with their own tool sets, fully PPE'd up, and it's been done quite well, I would
And
say.
we're getting really positive feedback from our current
We've got
students.
very good feedback,
because it's been new to them as well, this
Yeah.
whole virtual classroom, and we are getting positive feedback.
Yeah.
They're loving the resources.
Yeah. Just a quick question then, when you move on to level 6, we introduced the element of construction. So a lot of your students that move on to second year level 6 advanced cert, they're actually building gardens. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so when you move on to the level 6, now you're concentrating more on landscape design and construction.
Yeah.
So every year the students will learn different construction skills and using landscape machinery in Ashetown. What we always do is we build a garden from scratch.
That's
Students as a team, project-based management design the garden and they build it. And usually we try to have it finished for our opening day in March, April, so we can show it off. But it's a great learning experience for students because they get to manage the project themselves.
Perfect. And it's fair to say, again, people might say, do I need building skills going into those courses? Do I need to be a mason? Do I need to be a carpenter?
No. Everybody, like you would start at your level 5 where you get an introduction to those building skills. And then at level 6, we're just going into them more depth.
Yeah.
And really everybody that's coming in usually are starting fresh in horticulture.
They're starting from scratch.
Yeah. We may the odd time have a few part-time students that are
Yes.
coming in from the industry
Yeah.
that would have experience, but they're bringing that experience to the classroom to all of us.
And that's a
and
good
sharing
mix.
it with
That's a
us.
good mix. Experiential learning has been brought into the construct there. Louise, thanks very much for
Thanks,
that.
John.
We'll come back to some questions that I'm sure we'll find on chat. If I can turn to Chris, Chris Heavey, and we saw a lovely video of Chris in the tree nursery in Ashetown, but also then he moved into the indoor mist unit area, which is the indoor nursery area. So just your own story, Chris, in terms of, we'll say, where you came from in terms of horticulture and where you are now, maybe for the people watching.
Well, I started as a student when Sullus was called Anco. So
that's back in the day.
That's a long time back. And I came in here having done a teaser sort of a course, I suppose, really. I came in here to the Botanic Gardens in 1986 or thereabouts and did a 3-year course when there was only one class, 25 students at the time. And worked in Teagasc in Concealy, or in Forest Luntish in Concealy as it was at the time, for a number of years. Went to follow the career path in terms of education. I suppose went to UCD, did a degree in landscape architecture in UCD, and came back and have recently then finished a master's or completed a master's in polyethylene films, which we won't go into. So that's my career path. And again, a bit like Louise, I've always enjoyed, I love plants, and anybody who knows me knows that I have a great passion for plants and for growing. And I love talking.
It's a very good, no, it's
it works
indeed,
well.
and you're a great communicator. And it's a very good story because you started off at the early levels of learning and moved right up to a master's qualification.
Yeah, what would we call a level 4 now?
Call a level
that's
4,
where I start.
and you moved
Yeah,
up to
that's
level
where I
9.
start.
And we see a lot of our students that graduate through those levels in our present construct.
Yeah.
And we help them a lot.
And
to
we
get
also
along the
have
way.
students coming in that don't ever realize they will
Exactly.
graduate up
How many
along that
people
line.
have come in here at level 5 component and have emerged with a degree?
Yeah.
I mean, it happens every year.
Yeah.
And it's a great route to
They
follow.
come in to test it and they love it.
They do,
And
yeah.
they follow the ladder up along.
Yeah.
which
Like
is great.
in your area, plant propagation, nursery stock production, there's lots of people that come on board just to do plant propagation, for example, at level 5 as a single component. I'd say of any of the modules we run, maybe fruit and veg is the same, but it gets booked out very early because people are coming in from outside just to do that module. It's on a Wednesday morning. It's 3 hours in the normal construct. It's online, obviously, at the minute, and we get a great following.
We do, and people want to, whether they're going to use it as a career opportunity or whether they're going to use it at home in their own gardens, they want to learn about how to sow seed, how to take a cutting, how to graft a plant maybe, how to grow an apple tree, all of those things that are included inside in that.
But like that, those skills, they work well in the garden at home, but they're also skills that the nursery stock sector is looking for.
They're the basic skills that are absolutely necessary to set you on that path, up along to management level ultimately. But you don't know how to manage a graft or a cutting at an early point, how on earth are you going to manage a nursery later on? So it sets you on that path, and it allows you to understand the basics and the fundamentals necessary. And of course, a place like this is fantastic for that, full of plants, full of grafted trees, full of the best things that you could possibly find in horticulture sitting all around us every day.
Indeed. And in the 60 acres that's here in the National Botanic Gardens, which our students have full access to as students, and they're brought around methodically by our teachers and by our colleagues in the OPW, showed around the outside grounds, but also in the glass houses. You were pictured in the video in one of our new glass houses in Ashetown. Maybe tell us briefly about what that glass house is used for in Ashetown.
Well, there's €1 million investment in a glass house, a new glass house in Ashetown. So that's a massive investment on the part of Teagasc in education, but also in research.
Research and training.
And the wonderful thing about research, education, and the advisory end of Teagasc is that all three of them work together. So you have advisors out there that are advising the industry, but they're also coming in and helping us in giving lectures and knowledge, you know, practical knowledge to students. And then you have the research end of it, which is looking at real life problems, day-to-day life problems that nurserymen have. And those nurserymen are presenting those problems to Teagasc. Teagasc is trying its best to sort them out, and students are observing that interaction between all those different fields.
I think you've said it very well. I mean, we're lucky to be embedded in the National Botanic Gardens with our colleagues in the OPW and the immense plant repository that's here, but also to be embedded with our research colleagues in Teagasc in Ashetown. And we also have a forestry department that's embedded over there, which is very closely linked to what we do in horticulture as well. So we have a massive resource, and Teagasc have spent a lot of money over there in recent times. Thanks for that, Chris. I'll move on to our next area. And in the video, you would have seen our colleague James Brady, who was embedded, as it were, in the fruit and veg garden, or rather he had some of his students on their knees that were working hard in the veg garden. And as we alluded to earlier, fruit and veg has become very popular, James. I mean, like plant propagation, it's one of those subjects that people nearly vote for and we fill really, really quickly. So you have a lot of students over there. Just tell us a bit about, we'd say, what's happening in your line of teaching with fruit and veg currently.
I suppose you're right, John, in the sense that every year we seem to have a max out capacity on the course. So I mean, it's encouraging to show that people are wanting to know where their food are produced, where it comes from, and the course actually does that with the students. It gives them a basic grounding of how food is produced and the practice that goes into producing that food. So like the way the class is structured at the moment, we have our lecture online, and the practicals are based in Ashetown. So the students get to develop the theory essentially that's learned in the classroom, and they get to practice that in the gardens in Ashetown. And that could be simple skills where it's soil management, how to work the soil, how to improve it. It can be crop management. So what crops do we need to grow? How do I grow them? And how do I look after those crops? So it's the fundamental skills in production that they get to kind of really hone in on and progress throughout the development of the course.
And again, a similar thread, and I asked Chris and Louise about it. Do students need to know a lot of knowledge before they come into you? Like people say, God, I don't know, would I be able for that level of learning? But can you enunciate how easy that is?
No, the answer is, and you don't have to have those skills because they're skills that you can learn and learn very quickly. And they're transferable skills, like they're skills that you'll be learning in fruit and veg that are related to plant propagation, you know, sowing your crops, how you treat them. So you don't, and you learn the theory behind in the classroom, and you get out into the glasshouse, into the garden, and it's a fantastic opportunity. You learn by doing.
Yeah, and I mean, what you have set up over there in conjunction with your colleagues is unique in that it represents like a historic garden, because you have about 10 beds that are all different family orientated beds, and you can demonstrate rotations, you can demonstrate IPM, integrated pest management is something that people often ask us about. What do you demonstrate in that area, James?
So basically we focus on IPM, integrated pest management, and how we deliver that is we look at basically from the soil, different methods of coping for pests. So there's a saying, feed your soil, not your plants. We do that through the use of green manures. So you're reducing the amount of fertilizers. You're looking at how you treat your pests, so biological control. You've seen in the video there that the planting that I was standing around with, the wildflowers, you're looking about encouraging your beneficial insects to the site. So there's a whole broad spectrum of approaches that you can
environmentally friendly first off.
Absolutely, and you can introduce to your site regardless of how big, how small. So there's a lot of topics that we cover, from organics to IPM to wildflower.
It's
and
become
variety
very
selection.
popular. It's fair to say it's become very popular in the last few years. I mean, our college was always referred to as the College of Amenity Horticulture, and we're proud of that. But there is a big element of food that people are adopting now.
There is, and like, I mean, people today that now more than ever want to know where their food is produced and how they produce it. So
Safely.
And safely and sustainable. That's the major key. And we can
And
see
along
that
with sorry to cut, but along with, we'll say what Chris was saying earlier about the glass house, we have food production in the glass house in Ashetown.
we do.
Which,
Yeah.
you know, our students get exposed to soft fruit production.
That's it. There's strawberry production going on that research are carrying out trials on. So there's great links there, and not only in the glasshouse but outside in the veg garden as well, where there's different trials going on in relation to integrated pest management and carrot root fly, cabbage root fly. And students get exposure to that on site and can see how it's mapped out, how it's monitored, and how it's assessed.
So uniquely, we can offer that linkage that Teagasc has across all its enterprise mixes across the country, the research, the advisory, and the training and education that we have. They're inextricably linked in that site.
Absolutely, it's people get to see up to date research and how it's processed and how it's actually implemented. So it's great.
Very good. Okay, thank you for that, James. And I'll come to my next final colleague on this point is Paddy Smith. Paddy, you're involved, among other things, and we're just finished with James talking about fruit and veg, but you also do sustainable food production. You teach that at degree level. But another area that you do is turf grass. And turf grass is quite a big area because we play sports on it. We're sport mad in this country, GAA mad. It's great that we'll have a bit of football coming back maybe in the next few weeks, and we can observe that. But tell us a bit about what area. Sports turf science and maintenance is a key module, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll come to that in one second.
That's at level 6, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll come to that in 1 second, John.
Yeah.
First of all, you said in relation to my own career, like
Yeah.
in relation to food production, I would have used the PLP when I was studying which would be the old diploma, which is equivalent to a level 6. And I would have went across to the UK and seen what they were doing and bringing that information back. But then through my own knowledge and my own training, I would have maybe built up my knowledge on mechanization and landscape construction. And then I brought that then into sports turf. And in relation to sports turf area, if we look at in relation to golf, which you mentioned, we're looking at the different areas from links to parkland to heathland. And then what's very big, you mentioned football, but we're looking at then rugby, soccer, we're looking then cricket, tennis, all the different areas. But equine is really becoming very big at the moment as well. And a lot of jobs out there in the industry. Currently here in the college, we're providing sports turf training at level 5, but mostly in relation to level 6. We get a lot of people from the industry, John, coming into the college who want to go back and get a qualification.
We had 13 people that did it from the industry last year, if I'm not mistaken.
I found an excellent teaching environment because some of our students who are currently on the full-time course, who are full-time level 6, wouldn't have that much experience in sports turf. But they found from peer-to-peer learning from people coming in from the industry.
Yeah, and Louise mentioned that earlier as well. That mix is very good, isn't it?
Yeah, and you mentioned there about the facilities in the glasshouse, but we have a fantastic facility you would have seen there in the video in the Turf Academy. But also we've got a fantastic facility in the mechanization workshop
Shed,
where our students come in and they get to set up a range of machinery that's involved in managing golf courses. And the students maybe in the industry don't get that experience in a golf course or in a football or in football pitches and that we actually get to deliver that and teach them that in the college here.
That's it. And I mean, a lot of young people might have been watching those videos and seeing the lovely stripes that they're on the 3-hole golf course. I mean, it really is a fantastic facility among others that we have access to in Ashetown. But it's not all about driving machinery.
No.
There's a lot of agronomy there. There's a lot of science.
Yeah, and going back there in relation to I always remember you'd ask the students when they first come in, they said tell me one type of cutting action, or tell me how many different types of cutting action of a mower, and they'll always go, cylinder or rotary, and you say, no, well, that's in the horizontal, there's 4, but how many is in the vertical, and why are we cutting in the vertical? Why are we removing thatch? Why are we allowing rain infiltration? Why are we encouraging drainage? And then we have to look at then the climate and the way the climate's changing, and we've got to say, okay, we had a drought this year, and then we had a big high rainfall, and how are we managing our water in relation to different growing environments? So
we're giving them a lot more knowledge, it's fair to say.
We're adding the science to it, John, in relation to what a lot of the students would have out there from the practical experience. We're at why are they actually doing these tasks on a day-to-day routine? What's important? What's the benefit to the plant?
Yeah, and I mean, it's a very big employer. Like horticulture in general is quite a significant employer in Ireland. I mean, it employs about 16,000 people, and it's worth approximately 400 million euro to the economy. So it's a very significant element to our economy. And I mean, the key point is what Teagasc does, and these are just examples of the horticulture that we can teach, but what Teagasc does, it provides a very good formal education. And Paddy just espoused that in terms of the depth that we go into. We go from level 5 to level 6 to level 7. Our degree students can study turf grass at level 6, and they can study it at level 7, degree. Our students can study fruit and veg at level 5, and they can study it at degree in sustainable food production. In nursery stock, they can study plant propagation at level 5, which is our certificate, and they can go on to study nursery stock production at level 7. And like, they're building their knowledge the whole time. And Teagasc is very much front and center of providing stepped qualifications, you know, which you guys have actually done in your own careers. And for people watching who are wondering about how do I get into horticulture, it's not too difficult. You log on to the Teagasc website, you look up the National Botanic Gardens, and you'll see a whole host of information there about what we do, how to apply to our courses, and what sort of career prospects are got from these qualifications. And that's what we continue to deliver, pandemic or not. We're in a very different situation. You know, Louise, you referred to it earlier about blended learning is what we're doing now. Blended learning is what we're doing. And horticulture very much suits the blended learning pandemic, doesn't it? I mean, it certainly suits being able to remotely do your lectures and then come back and do your practicals. Paddy, do you want to come in there?
Yeah, just so you were saying there earlier, John, I think it's key. I know we've been on about level 5, level 6, but also our component students, the number of component students, people are working out there in the industry, whether it's in landscape construction, and they maybe haven't got time to come back to full-time education, and they want to do a single component. And through the blended learning now, they've actually can learn it in their own time nearly and build up the number of modules that they have to attain maybe level 6. And then when they get level 5, and then they can go back in and do it again at level 6. Yeah. So they can build up over a period of time.
Yeah, to give people some element of that, in our level 5 this year, which is our certificate in horticulture, and it runs from September through to May, a normal academic year. We have about 40 full-time students, but we've 80 part-time component students. So that gives people some idea of, you know, that it's not all full-time, obviously. People can do an individual module, as you've just said, Paddy, and they can come in and drop in to do that particular element of learning. So there's quite a lot of people out there who have joined that, and they're stacking their modules to a major award. So without getting into too much technical detail about it, it's like going back to do your leaving cert and just picking one subject at a time, or maybe 2 subjects at a time. So that's what we can offer here. We can do that at our level 5, and we can build that award for you into a major award. And you can do that in conjunction with your work, or you can do it straight off the bat, straight off the leaving cert, and come in and finish it in one quick year, and then move on to level 6 and level 7 with our partner in WIT. Now, Louise, did you want to come in there?
I just wanted to add there, you know, as well as people coming straight from school or have never worked in horticulture before, all of our courses involve a PLP that Paddy mentioned. So that's a placement. It's your work experience, work practice, where we help you find a grower or somebody in the sector and get you out there on placement.
Yeah.
So you get to experience and put what you've learned in the classroom into action. And it's one of the most important things, placement, because it's at that stage where you really get a taste for the industry. That's where you start creating links with people, networking, because, you know, stay in the classroom forever, but we want people to go out there and get careers. So don't be afraid if you don't have any experience coming to us. you will get to do a placement, whether you're in level 5, level 6, or level 7, with people that we have vetted in horticulture over the years. And so there is lots of opportunities there.
And referring back to your original, your own placement, Louise,
Yeah.
and you did placement in the National Botanic Gardens, and here you are today as a teacher in the National Botanic Gardens. So
Yeah.
it serves as providing that very fundamental network of contact. And it's fair to say that the National Botanic Gardens, I mean, as I said, it's been 200 years training students. And when you do your placement in a place like this, you're working with really experienced and qualified craftspersons. Isn't that right? So our students would normally be out working on section as part of their placement, but they're working one-to-one with craft gardeners.
Yeah, and like craft gardener is a huge career option for a lot of our students. And we have many, many graduates who are managing either private estates or public estates. And a craft gardener, you know, you're working with plants all of the time, but you're taking in all of the modules that we spoke about here today, all the subject areas from plant propagation to turf management to growing food, design, everything within a craft gardener. And for somebody that would be thinking about that as a career, you would need a level 7, but best time to get that taster is on your placement.
On your placement, yeah. It's also fair to say a lot of students might ask about, is it possible to go abroad? And Teagasc as an organization would be very encouraging of students to follow some element of a foreign placement during their training, be it in horticulture, agriculture, or whatever. Currently, we're not encouraging it, obviously, because of the pandemic, and that's fine. But it is fair to say that foreign placement is there, and we have linkages with institutions in many, many different countries.
Many. We have had lots of our graduates go to America.
We had 6 this year.
J1.
Was it 6 that went to America this year?
Working with some of the best landscape companies and nurseries that are there. We have had many students go to the UK, other places in Europe as well. Some of them have stayed on working there, you know, on a J1 visa. A lot of them will come back and bring those skills with them, and usually end up then in, you know, quite good careers afterwards.
And the question there's questions coming through on chat there, so I just want to take one. How do I organize my placement? And it's fair to say that the college takes a key role in organizing that placement because you're a placement officer.
Yeah, so basically at level 5, we work very closely with you and coordinating your placement based on what areas you're interested in, because level 5 is that sort of stepping stone where you could pick, you know, one area to see if you like it as a taster. And we will give you a list of hosts, but we'll also sit down and have a chat with you, you know, what areas you are interested in the future. As you move on then to level 6 and level 7, again, you know, you could try something different, but we work with you and we help you match up with the host.
Very good, yeah. So there people aren't just let loose on their own. There's a match.
Yeah, we have Teagasc hosts that we have vetted that they're suitable for training.
And like there are opportunities for our students to meet these hosts as well, maybe during the course of a normal level 5. And Chris, as part of what you do with the students, you bring them to a lot of the industry stakeholders. There are nursery visits in the normal run of events, and we will get back to normal at some stage, and there will be visits. But some of the industry visits that you go on are very informative for students.
Yeah, certainly at level 5 plant propagation, we visit, and James's area there in fruit and veg as well. We visit various nurseries and growers in the fruit and veg end. But from a nursery point of view, we'd most of them, I would have to say, are congregated in or around, or a lot of them are congregated in or around Kildare. So we would visit ones that are very relevant to the subject matter. And, you know, just arriving at a grower's premises and seeing what they're doing and feeling that energy. There's this fantastic energy.
The vibrancy that's in it,
yeah. So that's a great experience for students and the amount of learning that they get. But even this year, even though we can't move out of the county at the moment, and we certainly can't be bringing groups on buses and so on, but we have virtual tours organised of some of, not all of the nurseries we normally visit, but some of the nurseries. So even today, before I came in here, we put up the virtual tour of Queencha, Ballintemple for seed storage and seed collection. That's available to our students
Yeah.
as if they were walking
As
around
if they were
it,
walking
you know,
around.
so it's
And
a great
James, you've
resource.
done something similar as well in relation to the Phoenix Park
Mm.
and in relation to a very popular garden in Dundrum.
Yeah, we organised a virtual tour of basically Airfield Estate and the likes of the Wall Garden in the Phoenix Park, and it really kind of allows the students to kind of see what they're doing and apply that to their own skills and basically their assignments. That there's one assignment where they have to plan a veg program in a wall garden, so they can see it in situ,
Yeah.
what's taking place in real life. And
But you're also meeting some key people, and people in any of the visits or any of the tours that we would meet, these are people who have gone through our education system. They're people who have, like maybe people sitting at home watching this program this evening thinking, how could I end up? You could end up hosting tours
that's it.
from
Like,
students.
we've passed students who are now working there, and there's in the Phoenix Park there was another student there that graduated there last year, and so it's fantastic to see. And you mentioned about going into the industry. There's a wealth of knowledge there and experience that we can get to showcase to the students and have available on Moodle, where the students can access it time and time again at their kind of leisure and their convenience, really. So it's a fantastic opportunity.
Okay, very good. I'm going to go to the chat lines here because there's some very useful questions from people coming in. What is the exception rate for landscape design? Well, I think that what that question is how do you get into landscape design? So, I mean, I suppose the answer to that question is we have landscape design through garden design at level 5, and then people graduate into level 6. So the answer to that question there for Gary is look to do garden design at level 5 and then look to progress. Would that be right, Louise?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah,
I would agree.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you go straight into landscape construction without doing landscape design? And that's a good question because that's kind of pointing at, do you need to go, can you do level 6 before you do level 5? And the answer to that is no. You need to have done your level 5 in horticulture, your certificate in horticulture, before you go into full-time level 6. Except in the case, and I'll bring Paddy in now for a second, except in the case maybe where you have people who have a lot of experience in the industry who, for one reason or another, haven't done formal qualifications in the past, and we can accept them into level 6 given certain conditions. But the normal route for young people progressing through our formal education is level 5, then into level 6. That would be the normal construct. So, Paddy, do you want to come in there?
I just wanted to say there in relation to we provide an excellent level 5 in landscape construction and maintenance, where we currently have people who are working in the industry who've got their own business who are actually coming in, and through that level 5 we're actually showing students a range of how to produce construction detail drawings, how to lay paving, how to build walls, how to look after soft areas, how to sow seed beds using the modern equipment. So yeah, I would say if you wanted to really look at level 6 in landscape construction, maybe come in, and if you want to look at just picking landscape construction as part of level 5, or pick it as a component and see is that really for you.
Pick it as a component, and like it's a short component. You're doing it currently 1 day a week.
Yeah, we have 24 students.
24 students have elected to pick it, yeah.
And I think it's 50-50 between our full-time
and part-time, yeah.
coming in and doing it at the moment.
So they're coming in to do it on one day a week, and it really suits them to do that.
Yeah, and we're offering whatever we can in relation to online. As again, it's been pointed out, it's been recorded and it's uploaded for over 40% of the module, and then the other 60 we're providing the training in a safe manner, following all protocol.
Very good. Just two questions here that I'll take. Claire is asking about the cost of doing level 5. So level 5 is what we call a major award. There's 120 credits in it, and the cost of doing that is €990. That's the cost of doing the full-time level 5 awards. So to do it on a part-time basis, then depending on how many credits are in each module, there's a different price attached. So you could say approximately €200 for individual subjects, between 175 and €200 to do an individual subject. So when you balance that out, that's not that expensive in the greater scheme of things when we talk about course fees overall. And I'm sure, you know, if you wanted to come onto our website, contact our office. We can talk to you in more detail about that. But €990, Claire, is the price of the full-time level 5. Do we get many mature students? So that's a very good question, and it's a question that some people are worried about, because maybe mature people are worried about coming into classrooms full of 18 and 19-year-olds. We get mature students on our course, but as was alluded to earlier, there's experiential knowledge coming on our course. We have a lot of students that are career changers, that are career finishers, but there's a lot of people in our program that have done other courses. There's no doubt about that. We have a lot of young people in our programs this year, and it shows a real energy in horticulture. There's a real verve there to get involved in something that's environmentally friendly, that can contribute to our footprint, environmental footprint, and we welcome that. We absolutely welcome that. But don't be worried. Don't be worried. We do get mature students, Hilary, and we're happy to take them. A question that might come sometimes as well is, what's the minimum qualification I should attain in horticulture? So all of you people have done very high qualifications in horticulture, but maybe Chris, to ask you, in your experience, where would you see the minimum qualification for people going into the industry? What should they be aspiring to get?
I think anybody going into a career in an industry should be aspiring to go as far as they possibly can.
Yeah.
To be quite honest. So so depending on what ambition they have, I suppose, in terms of the industry, the various levels, level 6 is a minimum. I'd say level 6 would be a minimum.
Which is what we call advanced certificate.
Yeah. So I'd say level 6 would be a minimum.
2-year course.
2-year course, and then your level 7 past degree, basic degree, is the next step up from that, and that would allow you to get into management sort of areas and work your way through. And of course, once you get into that sort of a position, you can then continue within education to further develop. And many people have. I've done it. I think most of us here have done it. And I know lots of people out there who started off at my level 4 sort of space and worked their way up along to management levels within many parts of the industry.
Yeah, indeed. I was in the herbarium, which is a fundamental part of the Botanic Gardens here during the week, and there's a past student there that came through our degree, and he's now doing a PhD in the OPW.
And we've sent students from here through, from the original level 4 courses that we would have taught, level 5 courses, to PhD courses in Trinity and UCD.
It's quite possible to do
ECU. So it's very possible, very attainable.
Yeah. I might just mention one or two things about the college year. I mean, we follow the normal college year. We go from September right through to May. Our course finishes in May usually, and then we have verification. Results are passed out to students, and we have a graduation every December. That's how we run our programs here. So we very much follow the academic year. Placement can be done during the summer. It can be done out of the academic year, and we facilitate that, and Louise looks after that. So students follow a very normal college academic year. In our college, we would generally have small classes. You know, you won't walk into a classroom in a Teagasc Horticultural College and find hundreds of students. Now, mind you, we have 120 students approximately doing level 5, but they're all in different pods, part-time, full-time, socially distanced groups. Very much huge demand for horticulture this year. In our degree programs, we have about 20 to 22 students in each class. And in our level 6 students, in our level 6 courses, we'd have about 30 plus students doing level 6. So our classes aren't massive. We would know all of our students by first name, I would say, whether we call them by their first name or not. But we certainly get on very well with our students. They get on very well with us. And we form a very close network with our students. And I'd often refer to the director of the National Botanic Gardens, Dr. Matthew Jebb, and the curator, who is retired, Paul Maher, who would say always that when you do horticulture in Glasnevin, you become part of a very, very strong network that is connected to Glasnevin. And there's a huge, huge history associated with this location. And again, everyone that goes through the doors becomes part of that history. So that's really important. Folks, I'm conscious of the time, and it's just turned 5 o'clock, and we said we'd run this event for 1 hour. So we're concluding our event. I want to thank you, the audience, for joining us in our classroom 3 on Zoom. You've partaken in this, and our students have been partaking in Zoom classes for the last 6 weeks here in the college, and thankfully it's going well. Everyone has kind of got to grips with the technology in some shape or form, and it's something we embrace. We look forward to meeting new students every year. We look forward to welcoming people to our College of Horticulture. I think you should consider a career in horticulture now more than ever. I think people, as Louise said earlier, what horticulture needs is people who have a genuine love and passion for working with plants, for working outside, for getting their hands dirty, and for being creative. It's a fantastic career. There's so many careers out there that young people are exposed to, and what it involves is sitting in an office looking at a screen. You know, it's difficult, it's stressful. So many people work in horticulture and their stresses drift away. It's a fantastic career choice for people to consider. And I think we need more people, as Louise said, who have that passion for horticulture, for plantsmanship, for design, for creativity, and for doing things well with the soil and with the environment that we work in. Teagasc offers a unique product. As was said earlier, and Chris mentioned, the linkages that go on in Teagasc between education, research, and advisory work. And there's no organization in the country that does that except us in Teagasc. And we're proud to do that with our colleagues in Teagasc in horticulture, in the Horticultural Development Department. We have a fantastic footprint here, courtesy of working with the OPW. We have a fantastic footprint 6 kilometers from here, over in Ashetown. And as I said, between the 2 centres, we have approximately 80 acres. So that's a decent farm by anyone's standards. I think we have some highly skilled staff. We have some excellent colleagues. You've met some of them today. I'm deeply indebted to my colleagues for being able to provide us with this platform. Thank you, Louise. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, James. And thank you, Paddy. And thank you, Deirdre Walsh, who's behind the scenes here. Without her efforts, this event would not take place. Okay, all queries come to the Teagasc website, National Botanic Gardens. We're happy to take them. We're happy to answer any query, and we'll get back to any questions that we haven't got to on the chat function directly. Thank you for your time this evening, and the best of luck. Slán.